Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's your favorite Bangladeshi artist, and I am back with a sit-down video. So if you clicked on this video, you're probably looking for some South Asian tea in the artist community, and I got you. Since I started my TikTok and my Instagram, I get so many questions asking how I am a South Asian artist, considering there's so many stereotypes and it's so hard to be one with immigrant parents. A lot of people have been asking me how I convinced my parents to do art, how they supported me, and in general my entire journey. But recently I posted a video on my Instagram where my mom didn't support me with my art in the beginning, and then I did it anyway, and then she eventually did support me. And someone asked me how they should tell their own parents that they want to pursue art. And then that got me thinking. I was like, this video would have been great when I was in high school because I was so depressed that no one would support me with my art, and I would have loved a little inspo video like this. So not only am I making this video to help all of you hopefully tell your parents about doing art, but I am also doing it to give closure to my 16-year-old self and hopefully make her happy. I'm gonna talk about my long journey with art and how I got no support, my whole backstory with it, and then I'm gonna talk about what I did to get my parents' support and how they are now. Hopefully it helps. I'm putting my heart and soul into this one, so keep on watching. A lot of you guys think that my parents have been supportive from the beginning, but that's definitely not the case. I had to kind of get to it with my journey, and it took so many freaking years. My brother and I, when we were in elementary school, we both excelled in all subjects, but especially in art, where we would win a lot of contests and our parents would come to all of our shows. Our art was hung up all around the house because they were so proud of us. And then once I got to high school, something shifted. I was in college level courses on top of AP level art classes. And I was smart. My brother was definitely smarter than me, and I would get compared a lot to him. My mom would always ask me why I wasn't in advanced math and science like him, why I wasn't getting high scores like the other girls in the community or the other guys in the community. And it was hard to be compared to. No one likes that for anything. I remember my mom asking me every single time I would work on my art why I would spend so much more time on my art instead of important subjects. And shit like that just made me feel so freaking useless because it made it seem like what I was doing was not important. There would be just so many negative stereotypes around me doing art, like, oh, do you want to be an artist that works on the street? Or just terrible notions like that, which aren't true. And just hearing all of that so constantly for so long, I hated doing art, and I felt like there was no need for me to do it. Especially after elementary school, when all of our artwork used to be all around the house. And then once I got to high school and I would spend so many hours on matters that I actually cared about, there was no celebration of it. So I was just in that point where I was like, why am I doing this anymore, you know? I remember specifically when I had a ceremony for my art and I was in Art Honor Society, and my mom and I had a fight in the car because she was like, why are you not in National Honor Society, which is a society where you're graded based on your performance of all subjects rather than just art. After I finished AP Art, which ironically my portfolio was based on depression, which I'm pretty sure was based on how I was back then, and I graduated high school, I actually stopped doing art for 3 years because I just saw no point in it if I had no support. Because of this, I got really bad grades in college, I messed with the wrong crowd, and I had no way of getting out my emotions through art. So fast forward about 2 years into college. Since I went to school in the city, I was surrounded by a lot of cultures around me, and that's when I finally started to embrace my own. And I started to actually embrace my culture in a way where I wanted to make art for Bangladesh. There was a protest that happened in New York where we were protesting against the unsafe roads in Bangladesh. And I decided to make a poster expressing how I felt about that. And that was a turning point because it was one of the first times that I started to paint again, and also my mom was actually proud of me because I was using my voice as an American student and helping our home country. She was proud of me because I got in the Bangla newspaper and people from Bangladesh were hearing about it, and I kind of bridged that gap between modern Americans and Bangladeshis. That was a big turning point for me, and that's when I realized that maybe I can continue this. I realized that I had to prove myself like extra hard to get their approval. So I started working 2 jobs, which was over 30 hours a week. I took so many classes. At one point I took 7 classes to graduate early. I had to maintain a high-ass GPA. I got into graduate school, and I did so many things to kind of overcompensate and to show my parents that I can do a lot. And this was a time where I was also starting to do commissions and sell art. And I think at this time, my parents started realizing that there's more options with art instead of just selling it on the street like how they always thought it was. And that gave them a little bit more confidence because they realized that people actually wanted to buy my art. But even then, with me doing all of these things and being so freaking tired every single day, I knew that I had to do a lot more to get them to be really confident with my skill and to make them realize that I can do this professionally. I remember once my dad came into my room while I was doing a jacket commission because I was getting a good amount every single month at this point. And he said, "Arekta," which means another one. And you can tell he was really proud. My mom was also starting to post my art onto her Facebook account. And if you're brown, you know that this is a monumental moment. So I thought that I was doing good in their eyes, but I knew that there was so much more work to do. But once the pandemic hit, I started to sell apparel with my art on it and more merchandise. And once they saw that I was getting hundreds of orders, they saw me going to the post office with so many packages. They saw that I was helping them pay bills, and that's when I think they realized that I know what I'm doing and I got this, and there's just so many options beyond what they thought art was. And this was such a cementing moment for all of us just because they saw that I could balance my educational life, my personal life, and now my professional life. This gave them a whole new insight on the art industry, and showing them really helped. They saw the whole progress. It's a huge moment for me because before they would just say that I was in school and that I would work, but now they actually tell people that I'm in grad school and that I also have an art business, which is amazing. And obviously you guys can tell that this took so many freaking years. Still, I feel like I have to overcompensate and work extra hard because I feel like I have to prove myself a lot more. So I'm still not just chilling. I still have to prove myself. I still have to show them that art is a real thing, but I know for a fact that I grew a lot and I taught them a lot and they've grown a lot too. Let me tell you what helped me and what might help you with your parents. Step number 1, you have to show them instead of telling them. A lot of us fail to realize that our parents came from a whole different country at a whole different time, and they are not used to our aspirations and our lives and everything that we deal with now. We, since we're modern and we grew up in America or the West, we have social media. We are aware that there's so many opportunities beyond just doctor and engineer, the only 2 jobs that Desi parents like. They don't have the luxury for that. And it's really hard for them to understand that their kid wants to do something that's beyond that. And it's hard to explain it to them too. Since I'm an aspiring teacher, I know that the number 1 rule to teach something is not to tell them, but to actually show them hands-on how to do it. I'm not comparing your parents to elementary school kids, but it is very important to teach them like they don't know how the world works here. It's important to break it down, and it's important to show them your successes. Like how I told all of you, I started showing them some of my art. I started showing them my sales and how many people were supporting me, which kind of got them on the boat and made them realize that, oh shit, like she's actually doing something that she wants to do and she's successful at it. It makes this crazy idea that they don't know anything about, and it makes it more tangible. It makes it more real. They understand it more when they see it. Recently, I showed them the mural that I painted at the boba shop, and it was such a crazy experience because they knew that I was painting it over the past few months, but I don't think they realized just how big it was. And when they got there, the first reaction that they had was, oh shit, like this is huge. Like this is a lot bigger than we thought. And this was a very, very big moment for me, especially because it showed that my art is in a big ass store. It's like the centerpiece, and that their daughter is putting her own art in a place where so many people were going to, because Pio Chai, a little plug right here, Pio Chai is so poppin'. I think me showing them that little thing that I did, it really helped me nail it into the wall. Is that the same? The second step, I just want to make a disclaimer that I know all parents are not the same. This worked for me, but I don't want to get canceled or stampeded by your parents because you decided to listen to me. I understand a lot of people follow their parents' wishes because they just want to make them happy and they don't want to go against them. But I also believe that it's important to put your foot forward and say what you want to do instead of just following blindly. I know a lot of people that pursued a degree because their parents told them to, or married someone that they didn't want to marry, and they lived miserable lives because they didn't do what they wanted to do. I think it's important to remember that you have to live for yourself and not for your parents. If you want to do a passion, you can't wait until you're 30, 40 years old and you're moved out to do it. You have to do it as soon as you can because life is short. I'm not telling you guys to rebel against your parents, but I think it is important to do little things that you want to do. For example, my parents have always wanted me to be a doctor like everyone else, and I definitely did not want to be a doctor. So I told them that I want to do teaching and I want to do other things. I think it's very important also here to show them instead of just tell them. For example, they wanted me to be a doctor because they want me to help people and they want me to get more money. But by showing them that art and other jobs can make the same amount of money, and also I'm helping people through my nonprofit, it shows them that there's so many different options. You have to also show them that, okay, you don't want to be a doctor, but I want to be this thing, and this is how I'm going to do it. You have to give them that confidence. And you have to put your foot forward too. The third step is to pursue your arts while also doing something else. This part is hard, especially if you're doing multiple things at once and you're also trying to prove to your parents that you can do art. But this is important to do to show them that you can do it. Parents' dream is obviously for their child to be successful and to have a good job, but it's mostly to see them be happy. It's their wish to see their child be able to provide for themselves and also them as they get older. As an immigrant parent, it's obviously a worry if your child is straying away from cultural values and norms because they want to pursue a job that's westernized or too modernized. So this part is really hard, but you have to prove to them that you can do it by also doing other jobs. Like as I said, I had to overcompensate by working so many jobs and take so many classes while also doing my art to prove to them that I can take care of myself. So once they see that you're able to take care of yourself and maybe even try taking care of them with some bills, I think that will help them realize that you're set and that you don't need to have a whole other job to make yourself happy. For me, my parents really started realizing the extent that I was going once I started paying for bills and showing them all of my commissions and sales that I was getting, and that really helped them feel more confident. Even the other day, my mom was saying how at this age I'm paying for so much of her stuff, like bills and trips and everything, and she was shocked because at this age when she was in Bangladesh, she didn't have to pay for anything because she never had that opportunity to work. She didn't have that opportunity before she was married. So that made me feel really warm that she acknowledged that and that she was proud of me for doing all of that. So this is the last step, but I think it's the most important in all of this. It's really, really important to have patience. Obviously, my journey did not take a year. It took about 5-6 years to get to where I am. And it's important to slowly show your parents what you're capable of and to let them know that there's so much more to life than just being a doctor and having a husband and a wife. We also have to realize at the end of the day that our parents are human. I spent a lot of my high school and early college years just being mad at them and hating them for not understanding my passions and what I really wanted to do. As I grew older, I realized that they are human and they were just brought up a different way. So it was up to me to change that and help them understand that there can be more to life than just these two basic jobs that they were accustomed to. And it's not their fault that they want their child to be successful and healthy and wealthy and all of that, but it's also up to us to teach them that there's so many more opportunities and so many more things to do now at this day and age. I recently heard the quote, "Our parents had to survive, but we want to live." I like this because our parents sacrificed so many of their own dreams to allow us to have our own. We have the opportunity to do so much more because of them. I promise you that if you continue your craft and you are patient, you will get to where you want to be, and hopefully you will be in a very great position where you are happy that you continued your art. I hope you all liked my video and I helped you guys clear the air with how to navigate this with your parents. I know all of us are different, but I'm sure that a lot of you guys can relate to some of my experiences. I would love to be your older sister and all of this guidance thing, so let me know what else you want to see. And buy my art and apparel from my website, labyrinthav.com, and follow me on all of my socials. It's labyrinthav. And subscribe. I always forget to say that, but subscribe. I love you guys. Thank you for supporting. Bye.